I told my boyfriend he was insecure for asking me to block my guy best friend, so he calmly packed his bags and left that night. I thought he'd come crawling back, but the text from Tyson that popped up after he walked out proved I'd lost the only man who ever truly loved me. I'm Sarah, 28, and this whole mess started 3 years ago when I met Larry at my cousin's backyard barbecue. He was this tall, kind of quiet guy, looking at me from across the yard, not in a creepy way, just obviously into me. That night, we talked until everyone else had gone inside, and 2 weeks later, we were officially a thing. It was pretty good at first. Larry's the reliable type, always on time, always remembers birthdays, always making sure the bills get paid. He works in logistics management or something. Honestly, I zone out when he talks about supply chains and inventory systems. The important thing is he has a stable job with benefits, and he's good with money, maybe too good sometimes, always wanting to check our budget before we do anything fun. Meanwhile, I work at a marketing agency, nothing fancy, but it pays enough for my car payment and going out on weekends. Tyson came into the picture way before Larry. We met freshman year of college when we got paired up for a project. He's the complete opposite of Larry, spontaneous, always making me laugh, never worrying about tomorrow. He works these random consulting gigs that somehow pay really well but leave him with tons of free time. That's why he's always been my go-to person when I need a vent or just want to grab drinks after work. It's always been totally platonic, well, mostly platonic. There was this one time during college, and maybe a few times since then, but that's different, that's just blowing off steam between friends. Larry never had a problem with Tyson at first. He would even invite him over for game nights or ask about him like he genuinely cared. But then he started getting weird about it, like when I was texting Tyson during our anniversary dinner, and Larry got all quiet and asked if it could wait. Or when I had to leave Larry's brother's wedding early because Tyson locked himself out of his apartment and needed my spare key. Larry didn't say anything then, but I could tell by his face he was annoyed. Things really changed after Larry got a promotion and had to work later. I started spending more time with Tyson, just as friends, obviously. Sometimes Tyson would come over to our place when Larry was working late, and we'd order takeout and watch movies. One time, Larry came home early and found us sharing the couch under the same blanket. He didn't make a big deal about it then, but he started asking more questions about when I was seeing Tyson and why. I've been borrowing money from Larry for what I told him was car repairs, but really, it was for this weekend trip Tyson and I took to check out a concert a few hours away. We got a hotel room with 2 beds, not that Larry would believe that. I kept telling Tyson we should post pictures, but he thought it was funnier to keep it between us. I guess that should have been my first clue that we weren't just hanging out anymore. Larry started checking my phone more often, not snooping exactly, but always being around when I got texts. I started keeping my phone face down and took it with me everywhere, even to the bathroom. It wasn't because I had anything to hide, okay, maybe I did, but it wasn't serious, just some flirty texts and inside jokes Larry wouldn't understand anyway. I've been telling Larry I have anxiety attacks when he brings up legitimate concerns about where I've been or who I've been with. It works every time. He immediately backs off and apologizes for upsetting me. I know it's manipulative, but honestly, he's so clingy sometimes I need to create some space. Besides, is it really that bad if Tyson comes over for dinner sometimes using groceries Larry paid for? We're all friends, right? At least, that's what I keep telling Larry. The real problem started when Larry's sister saw me and Tyson at this restaurant downtown when I told Larry I was working late. She didn't say anything to him directly, but she started giving me these looks whenever we were at family events. Then last month, Larry started seeming distant, like he was gathering his thoughts or something. He started working out more and talking to his old college friends again, guys I convinced him were negative influences. I should have seen the warning signs that he was building a life that didn't revolve around me anymore, but I was too busy managing my time between him and Tyson to notice. Looking back, I guess I've been playing with fire. I didn't think Larry would ever actually leave, though. I thought he loved me too much. I thought I had him wrapped around my finger tight enough that he'd believe anything I said. I was wrong, and that night proved it. The weeks before everything blew up were getting tense. Larry was asking more questions, and honestly, keeping track of all my lies was becoming exhausting. I told him I was at a work conference when I was actually at a cabin with Tyson for the weekend. When he asked to see photos from the event, I had to quickly text coworkers to send me pictures. It's not my fault he's so suspicious. He's making me lie. I've been telling Larry for months that his college friends don't really like him, especially Jake, who actually warned Larry about how I acted when he wasn't around. I convinced Larry that Jake was jealous of our relationship, and eventually, Larry stopped hanging out with him altogether. It's better this way. His friends were always watching me too closely. Tyson comes over almost every time Larry works late. We're careful about not leaving evidence, but last month, Larry found one of Tyson's earbuds between the couch cushions. I told Larry it must have fallen out during game night weeks ago, and he seemed to believe me, but I could tell he was connecting dots in his head. Larry discovered the dating app on my phone last Tuesday. I had the perfect excuse ready. I told him my single girlfriends and I were playing a game to see who could get the most matches in a night. He wanted to believe me so badly that he accepted it, even though I could see the doubt in his eyes. That's the thing about Larry, he's so desperate to trust me that he ignores what's right in front of him. I've started canceling plans with Larry, especially when his family is involved. I couldn't stand another dinner with his mom asking about our future while his sister glares at me from across the table. Last weekend, I bailed on his nephew's birthday party, claiming a migraine, but posted a story at a bar with Tyson an hour later. I forgot Larry's cousin follows my private account, stupid mistake. The real wake-up call should have been when Larry stopped arguing back instead of getting upset when I'd cancel plans or come home late. He just said okay and went about his business. I didn't realize he was detaching himself emotionally, preparing for an exit. I was too busy texting Tyson under the table during dinner or planning our next meetup to notice the shift in Larry's behavior. If I'd been paying attention, maybe I would have seen what was coming. Everything fell apart last Thursday. I was in the shower when a text came through on my phone. Larry saw Tyson's name flash on the screen with a message that said, "Last night was amazing. Can't wait to see you again tonight." When Larry was at his meeting, I came out of the bathroom to find Larry sitting on our bed, my phone in his hand, completely still, like he was in shock. My first instinct was to go on the attack. I snatched my phone away and started yelling about privacy and trust. I told him checking my messages was controlling behavior and that he should be ashamed. I could see in his eyes he wasn't buying it. It was this time, but I kept going because it had always worked before when he stayed calm and asked me to explain the message. I tried telling him Tyson was talking about the help I gave him with a work presentation. Larry just stared at me with this empty look in his eyes, one I'd never seen before. That's when he pulled out his laptop and showed me the screenshots he'd been collecting for weeks, hotel receipts from my email, location data showing I was nowhere near where I claimed to be, text messages between me and Tyson that I thought I deleted but had synced to our shared cloud storage. He had evidence of at least 7 different times I'd lied about being with Tyson. I felt cornered, but I wasn't going to admit anything. Instead, I turned it all around on him. I told him going through my digital footprint was psychotic behavior. I called him insecure and pathetic for tracking my movements. I said any normal man would trust his girlfriend without needing proof. With each accusation, I expected him to apologize like he always did, to doubt himself and beg for forgiveness for suspecting me. But something had changed in Larry. He just looked at me with this calm I'd never seen before and said, "I don't need you to admit anything, I already know everything I need to know." Then he asked me to block Tyson on all platforms if I wanted our relationship to continue. He said it was a first step toward rebuilding trust. I laughed in his face. Who did he think he was to give me ultimatums? I told him I wouldn't block my best friend just because he was too insecure to handle our friendship. I wasn't prepared for what happened next. Without another word, Larry walked over to our closet and pulled out a suitcase, one I didn't even know we owned. At first, I thought he was bluffing, trying to scare me into apologizing. I kept talking, telling him he was overreacting, that he was being childish. But he didn't respond. He just methodically folded his clothes and placed them in the suitcase. I switched tactics, started crying, telling him I was sorry if I'd hurt him, that we could work through this. He didn't even look up. I tried getting angry again, telling him this just proved how controlling he really was. Nothing. He just kept packing like I wasn't even there. I was frantically texting Tyson updates throughout this whole thing. I couldn't believe Larry was actually going through with it. When the suitcase was full, he started gathering his personal items, his laptop, his watch collection, the books on his nightstand. It was like watching someone erase themselves from my life in real time. The reality of the situation finally hit me. He was actually leaving. I grabbed his arm, promising I'd block Tyson right then if he would just stop packing. But it was too late. He gently removed my hand and said he deserved someone who actually loved him as he zipped up the suitcase. A text from Tyson lit up my phone screen. It said, "Did the idiot buy your story?" Larry saw it before I could grab my phone. Any doubt he might have had vanished in that moment. The look on his face I'll never forget. It wasn't anger, just clarity, like he was finally seeing the truth after years of looking through a fog. He picked up his suitcase and walked toward the door. I followed him, alternating between threats and pleas. I told him he would regret this, that he would never find anyone who understood him like I did. I told him he was making the biggest mistake of his life. When none of that worked, I broke down sobbing, clinging to his arm, begging him not to leave me. The days after Larry left were a weird blur. I kept expecting him to text, to call, to show up at the door apologizing for overreacting. He didn't. I tried calling him dozens of times but discovered he'd blocked my number. I sent emails that went unanswered. I even showed up at his workplace, but security wouldn't let me in. Apparently, he warned them I might come. It was humiliating. Tyson came over that first night, and I thought having him there would make me feel better. But something felt off without the sneaking around, without the thrill of hiding our connection from Larry. The whole thing felt hollow. Tyson spent the entire time checking his phone and left early, claiming he had work in the morning. It was the first time I wondered if maybe Tyson wasn't as invested in me as I thought. I started noticing how quiet the apartment was without Larry, no one making coffee in the morning, no one asking about my day when I got home. The bills started piling up too. I hadn't realized how much Larry had been subsidizing my lifestyle until I had to cover everything myself. Tyson never offered to help, even when I hinted at my financial stress. Our mutual friends started acting weird around me. Katie, who I thought was my closest girlfriend, stopped returning my texts. When I finally cornered her at a coffee shop, she admitted Larry had shown her and some others the evidence he'd collected. "I just can't believe you would do that to him," she said. "He adored you." I tried explaining my side, but even to my own ears, my excuses sounded pathetic. The worst part came when Tyson started getting distant. His texts became less frequent, his excuses more common. 3 weeks after Larry left, I went to surprise Tyson at his apartment and found him with another woman. When I confronted him, he just shrugged and said, "We were never exclusive, Sarah. I thought you understood that." All this time, I thought I was juggling two men who were crazy about me, but it turns out I was just another conquest for Tyson. It's been 6 months since that night Larry packed his bags. I'd like to say I've grown or learned some profound lesson, but that would be giving myself too much credit. I still think Larry overreacted. Sure, I wasn't perfect, but who is? He could have worked through it with me instead of just walking away. That's what commitment means, right? I found out through mutual friends that Larry's dating someone new, some girl from his office who apparently was just a friend during our relationship. Karma's funny like that, I guess. I stalked her Instagram, and she seems boring, the type who posts inspirational quotes and pictures of her houseplants. But in every photo with Larry, he looks happier than I ever saw him with me. It stings more than I want to admit. As for Tyson, he's moved on to his next target, some married woman from his gym. I ran into him last week, and he acted like we were still friends, like he hadn't completely ghosted me after Larry left. The worst part is I almost fell for it again, almost agreed to grab drinks just to catch up. Some lessons take longer to learn than others. I'm seeing someone new now, a guy who doesn't ask too many questions about my past. I've been more careful this time, making sure to keep my stories straight, delete texts regularly, use private browsing. I've learned to be smarter, but I'm not sure I've learned to be better. Sometimes late at night, I wonder what would have happened if I just blocked Tyson when Larry asked, if I'd been honest about what was happening instead of gaslighting him for months. If I'd appreciated the stable, loving relationship I had instead of chasing the thrill of deception. But then morning comes, and I push those thoughts away. It's easier to believe I was the victim in all this, that Larry was too insecure, that Tyson led me on, that everyone else overreacted. It's easier than admitting that I destroyed the best thing in my life because I was selfish, because I wanted attention, because I couldn't be satisfied with someone who actually loved me. It's easier than facing the truth that when Larry packed his bags that night, he wasn't being dramatic, he was finally showing the self-respect I never thought he had, the self-respect I still haven't.